In the last few videos, I've been talking about and mentioning Onaga, the kamidogu, the one being quite a few times. And for those who were there during the 3D era, all of that makes sense. But if you started playing from the NRS era, or you played during the arcades and then dropped off afterwards, there is a high likelihood that you have no idea who or what that all is about. So I wanted to make a video discussing these three and try to speculate whether this means any of it might be returning in MK1 story. Short answer, only NRS knows the definitive answer right now. And if you are expecting me to give you hard proof to confirm that Onaga will return, unfortunately I can't offer that. No one can, unless you're working at NetherRealm. But if you would ask me if I think Onaga will return, well, yeah, I think he will. Whether that would be Onaga returning in the flesh as an actual villain the protagonists have to interact with to save the realm or whatever, or he'll just be a plot that the story revolves around, like they have to prevent or gain access to the Tomb of the Ancient Dragon King, or prevent the rise of Onaga, whatever possibility goes there, I think Onaga will return. So if we want to talk about Onaga, we also first have to talk about the kamidogu and the one being, as they are very much intertwined. The one being is rarely shown and talked about in Mortal Kombat games, so to start this lore introduction, we have to go back, way back, to the dawn of creation. Ancient texts describe it in the very beginning. There existed only the one being, an impossible creature thought to be the size of the universe, and the Elder Gods. The Elder Gods governed all creation and ruled over the universe. Powerful as they are, however, they still feared one thing. The one being, progenitor of all, and the apex predator of its time, hunting the Elder Gods and feeding on their very essence. The Elder Gods, seen as omnipotent to most, were still no match for the power of the one being. As they realized that they would never be able to destroy the one being, they devised a plan to seal him away and use his essence to create new life to rule over themselves. And thus the kamidogu were forged, 7 incredibly powerful relics designed to give its wielder the power to make or unmake all of reality. These kamidogu are used to rip apart the one being and seal away his essence within them. The various parts of his body became the foundation of all realms, where later life started to evolve and thrive. Even though the one being was shattered and broken, his consciousness still lingered, and influenced many others attempting to find one powerful enough to merge all realms and make him whole again. So, who is this Onaga guy? The first impression might be, he just looks like Shao Kahn with scales, before Shao Kahn looked like Shao Kahn with scales. And well, you're not wrong, he's also sporting this mix of Japanese samurai armor with high fantasy barbarian look. But this back then was easily explained, as he was the ruler of Outworld for millennia before Shao Kahn betrayed him. So in the old timeline, the rulers of Outworld wore this type of outfit. But on top of being an absolute unit of a dragon man, he was an accomplished sorcerer, obsessed over life and death. Considered by many one of the first to ever master necromancy, on his path to achieve eternal life. He commanded an immortal and unstoppable army of highly disciplined and fierce warriors. But they ended up as nothing more than vessels of fallen souls, doomed to be resurrected and commanded by Onaga to continue the fight over and over and over again for all of eternity. When Onaga was assassinated by his advisor Shao, his rule was overthrown and his immortal army of the undead warriors, now turned dormant and deemed useless, was buried with him. Shao unknowingly was being manipulated by the one being this whole time, and soon started his conquest of the realms with one purpose: merging all the realms with Outworld. This caused the Elder Gods to impose the rules of Mortal Kombat in a poor attempt to prevent the merging of all realms, and therefore the resurrection of the one being. Now little did Shao know that Onaga, during his quest for immortality, bound his soul to an unhatched dragon in the last known preserved dragon egg, hoping that the blood of the infant dragon would grant him immortality. He died before the blood could be spilled, yet his soul bound to the egg escaped death, and Onaga hid, biding his time, waiting and plotting his return, and exacting his revenge. He would return centuries later, influencing a young Shujinko, posing as a disembodied representative of the elder gods, Damashi, and through deception sent Shujinko on a lifelong quest to recover the kamidogu. After acquiring the kamidogu, Reptile was tricked by Netara to enter the hidden egg chamber that contained the preserved dragon egg. When the dragon egg was about to hatch with the kamidogu's power, the energy unleashed invaded Reptile's body and transformed it into a new, powerful, draconic avatar for the Dragon King. And thus the Dragon King returned, with the power of all the kamidogu at his disposal, almost succeeding in merging all realms and awakening the One Being. In his non-canon arcade ending, he even succeeds in fusing the kamidogu together and uses its power to seize control of all realities, absorbing the essence of the gods and the kamidogu, and he himself becomes the universe-spanning singular conscience that is the One Being. So as I said at the beginning, I am confident that we will see some form of Onaga, the kamidogu, or the One Being return. Most likely, I think it's going to be Onaga himself. Now all of this of course is subject to speculation, and none of this is confirmed. But let's just go over everything and try to piece things together, right? First of all, let's take a closer look at the currently revealed roster. This is the first time we see the return of Li Mei, Azra and Havik in 17 years. Li Mei was introduced in Deadly Alliance, which is the game where we are introduced to the immortal army of the Dragon King for the first time. And she returns in Deception, where we are introduced to Onaga. Both her arcade endings involve Onaga in some way as well. The first being imprisoned in one of the mummies of the Dragon King's army, and in the second she allies herself with Onaga to save her people. Havik and Azra first made their debut in Deception as well. So right now, the playable newcomers are heavily featured in Deception, which had Onaga as the main villain and heavily involved the kamidogu. Now, of course, on its own there's this little meaning, as there are not many other games left to bring characters back from. But when you combine it with the scenes shown in the Lin Kuei trailer, where we see everyone's favorite ninjas duke it out against this undead army that looks very similar to the Immortal Army, both in color and design. On top of that, we have this screenshot here of a stage not yet seen in any trailer, as of this recording at least, that is very clearly looking like the Lost Tomb stage from the 3D era, which is the Tomb of the Dragon King. The similarities are very much on purpose, right? No reason why we see the same structures, like here on the back we have the same golden gate, Shinnok's amulet looking thing, and once again there's this army guarding it, just like in the 3D games. On top of all of that, we get to hear a fun reference to Onaga in Liu Kang's mirror match intro dialogue. I know, mirror match intros, they're usually non-canon, but hey, it's here so I'm showing it, okay?
Does Onaga exist in your timeline? Exist in it. He rules it.
The only real info that we have is that in Liu Kang's new bio description, the threat is described as an enemy he could never have anticipated. This could of course be Shang Tsung, but at this point, how could Liu Kang not be anticipating Shang Tsung fuckery? They've been at each other's throats since 1992. Meanwhile, Onaga's return was during a time Liu Kang had died, or was resurrected as a rage-filled zombie only out to get revenge on, you guessed it, Shang Tsung. It's just seeing all these Onaga-related references would just strike me as odd and honestly disappointing if they're all just Easter eggs and nothing more. So to round it off, let's do some proper reaching with this last bit. If anyone remembers, in Mortal Kombat 11's Kung Lao's arcade ending, It also hints at the return and the defeat of Onaga by Kung Lao's own hands. Which is how you know this is a dream scenario, as Kung Lao never accomplishes anything in recent history. He even gets upstaged by Raiden in this game as the chosen one. Anyways. The arrival of Onaga is heralded by this giant red portal in the skies. And now, wouldn't you know it, take a look at the very first Mortal Kombat 1 reveal trailer, and tada! A big red portal in the sky? Onaga Kamidogu. Oh, that hurt my soul to say out loud. So sorry. But I'm only partially joking, really. It's most likely a funny coincidence, but who knows? I am willing to go all out in manifesting Onaga in an NRS game. So are all these just Easter eggs and coincidence?
I don't think so.
And I am here to welcome our new Draconic Overlord in September when MK1 releases. Besides, if I'm completely wrong, we still have something to go back to and laugh about how wrong I was. It's a win-win, honestly. And that's going to be about it from me for this video. Hope you enjoyed this little lore drop and speculation video format. Do you think Onaga is pretty much confirmed at this point? Or is it all a big red herring? Who are you betting is the main villain of the story? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep talking Mortal Kombat.